The Browns continue preparations for the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday. And Mary Kay, we heard from Odell Beckham Jr. today, and he compared himself to Brooklyn Nets guard James Harden. He said, you don't pay James Harden to be a decoy. He's a shooter. Now, he wasn't complaining, but he did say he's a shooter. And look, shooters want to shoot, right?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I mean, at $15.75 million, you really don't want that guy to be your decoy or your blocker. And that is basically what he was in LA. Now, can it change? I still think it can change. I always hope springs eternal for me whenever I think about Odell and Baker. I always think that one of these days they're going to get it together and light it up. But as you know, I wrote a column saying yesterday that perhaps they should consider trading him, because there's part of me that thinks, Dan, that maybe Baker would be better off without Odell on the field, and maybe Odell would be better off being somewhere where he can be showcased and featured.
Now, the other thing Odell said, and you did mention this with the blocking and some of the other things, and of course that Rashard Higgins touchdown really was the result of three Chargers following Odell Beckham Jr. He kind of said, look, they want to win a championship. They want to do it this year. He thinks the opportunity is there. So if Odell's going to be happy with only 3 targets and doing that little stuff, it's going to be because he truly believes this team can win a championship.
Well, that's true. And when we talked to him the very first time, before camp even began, at his youth football camp, he was all about the Super Bowl ring. He said that's the only thing that matters. I think he did come back with a new perspective from the torn ACL. Not only a spiritual reconstruction that he told us that he had, but also just all about winning. And like you said, if he can be happy with 3 targets, you know, maybe this will work out in the end and he'll catch the game-winning touchdown pass in Kansas City, and they'll go to the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl or whatever the case may be. So we'll have to see about that. But 3 targets just doesn't seem like enough for your superstar receiver.
Now, on the field for the Browns, some good news today in that their top defensive ends were all back at practice. Their top cornerbacks were all back at practice. We talked to Denzel Ward today. He said he plans to play on Sunday. Greg Newsome, not as committed. He hasn't quite figured out if he's going to be able to go on Sunday yet. But good news to see those guys back. The bad news, of course, Kareem Hunt still on the side. Nick Chubb not even out at practice.
Yeah, I thought that was strange because Nick was there yesterday working off to the side on the bikes and the training balls and different things like that. So Nick not out there until maybe a little later when it was time for regular practice to start. But hopefully for the Browns, those guys will be okay by the time you get to game day. But as you mentioned, having those 3 pass rushers back is going to be vital against Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, this explosive offense. Their first 4 games, they scored 30 points or more. So you're going to need those edge rushers to be just blowing off the edge.
Yeah, you need as many people as you can to chase around Kyler Murray, who almost loves to be under pressure more than clean back there. So as many guys as you can throw at him, the better. Full coverage of everything today here in Berea, and of course that game on Sunday, all at cleveland.com/Browns.